Hi everyone, I'm very excited to host my guest for today. That's Harun Cero. He's a political analyst from Sarajevo, and he will speak to us about the current developments in Bosnia and Herzegovina and everything that is related to that, but also to the region and beyond. I'm saying hello to Harun. Mr. Harun Cero is speaking to us from Sarajevo. He's a political analyst and has quite a few information about and considerations about the situation, the developments, the current developments in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the region. Hi, Harun, how are you?
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to share this bright, lovely afternoon with you and to speak about not so great things, but still political and very, very important for the region and for the prospect for the future of the region, basically.
Well, it doesn't have to always be bright as the weather, does it? I'll go straight with the first question about the most current developments. We've seen that the Bosnian institutions didn't manage to arrest Mr. Dodik, Milorad Dodik, the radical leader of Republika Srpska. In what way was the justice obstructed in relation to the attempt to arrest Mr. Dodik? How did it go? What happened? Why?
Well, first of all, it's important to say that Dodik and his, I will already say, organized group have been doing this since years. I would say it started already back in 2010, maybe even earlier, with some, let's say, bubbles, tryout bubbles, to see how the international, already back then, how the international community would react to such moves, basically tending towards separatism. And back then, Dodik and his group already saw, or basically his party, saw that there are no real reactions to those moves. So he was always going back and forth, doing one step, forward, and then or better to say, doing two steps forward and going one step back. So basically, always juggling with the laws, juggling with his basically what the Dayton Peace Agreement actually gave him. To be able to block lots of things, to block the work of the state institutions, to basically bargain for laws, for financing, etc. Or basically, it's always been a trade-off. So I would say, since, just to go back, a step back into time, if you remember 2004 and 5 and the years where actually our path, or Bosnia's path towards the European Union was blossoming. To be honest, we were actually ahead of Croatia back then, so it was going pretty well. Back then the thoughts were like we're going to get into the EU in the next 2-3 years. The things started to move pretty fast. Also after the Thessaloniki summit, or until then. And after that, not to go too much into the meritum of things that happened back in 2004. I think now it's the situation. So basically, the last 10 years are more important in terms of the stability of the country and of the region generally. But since then, the things started to decline. Also, when it comes to the EU path, when it comes to various reforms. Bosnia got the candidate status last year, and it was pretty much given to the country. It wasn't really deserved, and it was more of a political decision than it was really a decision based on the laws that were adapted in the parliament which, by the way, are immensely, I would say, it's difficult to adopt laws with, on the one side, having a coalition agreement, quote unquote, with the party which wants to basically separate itself or the part of Bosnia from Bosnia, and then on the other side we also have the HDZ, the Croatian Democratic Union in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is also following its own goals. Basically, the election law. They want to have their quote-unquote member of the presidency, or basically for the member of the presidency, the Croatian member, to be elected from the bubble or from the territory on which they are the majority. So basically, this would further, let's say, destabilize the country. I wouldn't even say the problem there is the decentralization. I'm not saying that Sarajevo should be centralizing the country, so should be centralizing itself, but it should be the focal point of state institutions functioning from Sarajevo, and basically spreading this energy to the other parts of Bosnia, and that's basically the thing.
Before going further and deeper into the question about what really happened with the justice, with the attempt of the institutions, do I sense that you put part of the responsibility of the current developments into the international institutions, into the international community? Because you said that Dodik was going 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and so on. So, do I sense that the international community, the international institutions were kind of appeasing the radical leaders, political leaders in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Yeah, you can say it. I mean, partially you can say that. Of course, I mean the most responsible ones are the pro-Bosnian parties, to be honest, because they didn't learn or they didn't know how to cope with this, and the problem is always also up until now that the politics which is pursued by the progressive forces within the country is more reactive than proactive. It always reacts on different, the political agendas. I mean, coming from Serbia, Russia, etc. I mean, it's a top-down approach from this macro level to the micro level, basically to Dodik and his companions. Basically, so it's always been, let's say, reactive, and only in small cases, or not in many cases, it was proactive, doing things. A good example is the resolution for Srebrenica in the United Nations, which was adopted last year. This was some sort of proactive diplomacy approach, doing things for their own good, basically, and for, of course, and this was. But as you said, I mean, the problem were also the internationals, because they gave concessions, and partially they're the ones fault why the politicians here are used to this back and forth game of compromises. So you give something, I give something, you give something, and then it goes back and forth. But still, this should be taken very seriously, because if Dodik goes unpunished now, and nothing happens, basically, if the other political stakeholders in the country sit with him on one table again, or even with his party, or and the people surrounding him, like Nenad Stevandic and Radovan Višković, the president of the National Assembly of Republika Srpska and the prime minister of Republika Srpska, then it's already a failure. Then it's already I'm not sure how things would develop after that and how it would stop, because it is very clear that not even, I mean, the opposition in the Republika Srpska, which are the big winner in terms of that in the last 2 months since the big crisis is going on, they were on the forefront of battling or of going hand in hand with fighting Dodik, basically politically trying to stop him in some of his intents of like, for example, discussing the new constitution. It's very important because, I mean, imagine in 2 months if they don't get the, if they don't get the support to kind of come into the government on the state level, or if the HDZ, the Croatian side, at the end decides to stick with Dodik, and I mean they're still juggling, and that's the problem because the whole time they have been playing in this crisis, and it has been always the case. They have been playing this good cop, bad cop game. So, but at the end, they always, also in various different crises that we had previously, they always stuck to Dodik. So it was always at the end negotiation back and forth, but at the end they were on Dodik's side. So if they decide, and without them, there's no new coalition basically on the state level, because they are the ones who are in the coalition with the Troika, so with the, so to say, the pro-Bosnian parties. So if the opposition in the Republika Srpska, also by internationals, is left alone, they could say in 2 months, look, we don't really have a choice, so we go with Dodik. We adapt the new constitution, which is very dangerous. I mean, I wrote a couple of things on that. I think this was something that they had in their drawers basically for Dodik and his group, the SNSD, or his political party. They had the new constitution since years now. They have been preparing it. They had the working groups, etc., etc. And now they thought it's the time to bring it out. So basically, what I want to say, and to finish this part with that, is if in 2 months the opposition says we don't have the power, we can't do anything to Dodik and the SNSD or to the ruling coalition, basically our only option is to go basically with him and to negotiate, because he has been offering negotiations.
How did this happen? Who were the people who prevented the arrest of Milorad Dodik the other day? Who are those people? Who is paying them? Who is training them? Who is putting the uniforms and the emblems of the Punisher on their?
Wagner Group, basically. Yeah. These are the
you said Wagner Group.
Yeah. I mean,
is it Wagner Group or something resembling the Wagner Group?
Something resembling. Nobody can say like for sure what it is, but for
are we speaking about a Russian involvement here?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this were also my thoughts. So these, okay, regarding the helmets, where you have the emblem of the Serbian flag, it could be there is a chance, because they got a lot of donations from Serbia, that these helmets are basically used in Serbia also for their like security forces. This is the one option. But the Punisher, on the basically on the equipment, this is a different thing. And I mean, I'm not keen of speculating what it was, but to me it didn't seem that this were the official Republika Srpska police forces, special police forces that were on the ground when the special police, Bosnia special police, not even tried to arrest him. This is a bit, how to say, it's falsely defined. So they tried to give him the warrant, basically to give him the paper, the warrant that he needs to appear for questioning, and basically the detaining order. Basically, so there were no special police forces, Bosnian special police forces on the ground when these were merely inspectors. So basically, these were merely people who basically with suitcases and came to him to give him door, and they didn't even manage that.
But
so this is,
again, what will happen to this paramilitary or whatever formation it was? Because I mean, from what I can understand, from what I read, and from this conversation with you, you don't recognize these people, this formation, as an official Bosnia and Herzegovina.
To me, it didn't seem so, as they were equipped with.
So what will happen? What do the institutions in Sarajevo say now? Are they going to investigate? Are they going to do anything about it?
No.
Is the international community doing anything about it? So we have some Wagner-like formation, which is defending Milorad Dodik from even getting a letter or a warrant, whatever, and we don't know what will go on. I mean, what will happen? I mean, what if the official police of the Bosnia and Herzegovina arrives to Banja Luka and in an attempt to arrest or to question Milorad? What will happen? What these people are capable of doing?
That's a huge question. That's what we've been asking ourselves for the last couple of weeks. Basically, there were behind closed doors. There were lots of talks on how to approach the situation. One, I won't name I can't name the country, or one of the internationals basically told our politicians, so to say, that they should make an action where he wouldn't be in Banja Luka or in the building of the government of Republika Srpska, and the special police would come and they would storm the building, but he wouldn't be there. So he would on one side be afraid, and on the other side they would do the job and basically please the public with that. So this is one of these surreal. I mean, it's really unbelievable that one man, he's been here for decades. I mean, it's almost not 30 years, but like, let's say 20 to 25. He's been present on the political landscape, within the political landscape in Bosnia. So basically, what would happen, in my opinion, like I said, I'm not keen of speculating. I don't think that much would happen if the state police really and fully prepared with the intention to detain him or to bring him in for questioning. I think in that scenario, nothing big would happen. So this is my honest opinion. I don't think that it would escalate the way that it's been talked about in these diplomatic circles, within the political community here in Bosnia. It's just the problem seems that the way of doing politics here, which again, I repeat, the internationals also contributed to that, and doing this, this shuttle diplomacy, but one that is not really quality-wise on the level that it was like maybe in the 90s, and with people who were maybe on this level of pursuing those kind of diplomatic negotiations, and having this kind of political landscape, or like, how do you say, a very fruitful ground for conflicts.
Yeah.
That
this is all quite worrying, and as we see, Bosnia and Herzegovina is far from stability, and it seems that it's very easy to stir emotions and to stir some tensions in the country. Who is the winner and who is the loser in this story? who wins if Bosnia and Herzegovina is unstable, where rule of law is under question mark every day and night? If we have this kind of paramilitary Wagner-like soldiers defending whatever, I mean, protecting or barring any sort of legal action against Dodik, and who is winning? Who is actually who is actually profiteering from this, and who is losing?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what we can say until now, that except the sanctions that were imposed on Dodik lastly, so by Germany,
yeah,
and of course previously Great Britain and the US. I mean, it's kind of in this whole geopolitical mess. I think this is also something worth mentioning in terms of, because we will have more right-wing kind of tendencies, nationalistic tendencies in Europe. I mean, in this situation, it's worthy to kind of just maybe also not give kudos, but that something is at least happening in terms of quote unquote punishing him. But what I would say that until now, the international community, or the huge parts of the international communities were satisfied with the status quo. So basically, what you see now, it's been going on for the last maybe 10 to 15 years. You have a controlled chaos. So basically, defining political theory, you have a controlled chaos, which on top of which you have this bargaining issue. So negotiating back and forth, giving something, receiving something. So basically, I will just quote one colleague. We don't always, is also a journalist. We aren't always on one side when it comes to political developments here in the country and also ideologically. But he said he described it like it's like if San Marino and Liechtenstein were playing a game, and both tried to score a goal, but it doesn't work. So basically, you have 0-0 until the 90 minute plus additional time. So this is what we're seeing now. But now back just to kind of figuratively to explain what is happening. But basically, the winner at the end would be Milorad Dodik and Dragan Čović. So the Milorad Dodik in terms of pursuing another step towards secession, pushing the new constitution, not going back, not even going a step backwards in terms of the laws that he brought, regarding his own court, or basically his own prosecution office, Republika Srpska's own prosecution office, special police forces, basically, all the laws that he basically brought in the last couple of weeks, which are designed for the full secession, basically. So the winners, not to go too much in depth, I think it's been written quite a lot on the modalities or on the laws, but I'm not just for the public to explain what. So basically, if nothing happens, and if EUFOR doesn't help the state institutions and there was an official request, basically from the presidency, from Denis Bečirović and Željko Komšić, for EUFOR to assist, and that this is also a very false, false definition of what has been asked. So EUFOR wasn't asked to basically physically capture or to take over the job from the state institutions or the state police. They were asked to assist, to secure the perimeter of the arrest, not to allow the things escalate the way you mentioned previously. So basically, they were asked just to assist, not to do the operation, and they have the mandate. So they don't need they don't need an approval from the member states. That it's already they had European Council was the one who basically brought UFOR into the power after S4 and E4.
Yes.
So basically, when NATO decided to partially, back up or to let Europe, so to say, take the lead, or they have already gotten the mandate. So it's the UN, and then it was confirmed by the UN Security Council by the resolution 1547, and it has been extended. It has been extended. So now I'm asking myself sometimes the question: okay, you forgot this backup of 400 soldiers when the crisis started. Some countries like Netherlands has announced that they're willing to push to send more soldiers to the UFOR mission. Also Turkey, and behind closed doors, but also they announced that they are ready to send additional soldiers. But why do you have additional soldiers if you won't do anything in times of the biggest, still political crisis in the country after the war?
You said in the times of still political crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there is a potential for destabilization, for the security destabilization of the country? Not to say war or internal conflict, call it whatever you want, but it's equally threatening and gruesome, especially knowing the recent history of the Yugoslav wars. So do you think that there is a potential, and in what direction is Bosnia and Herzegovina going now? Is war imminent to your country?
Yeah, I would say so. Basically, for now, nobody is really interested in an escalation or in a war. But I wouldn't keep that out as an option. Definitely. I mean, if like I said, the scenario where nothing happens, where I'm not sure if we were able to wait until the general elections 2026. I think it's a long period of time, which until the elections, for possibly things to change on in a democratic way, basically through elections, to move Dodik and his companions out of politics, basically. So I think there is, especially when you look, at Ukraine, and you see the last day developments. I mean, J.D. Vance, kind of talking about again territorial swap in the Ukraine. I mean, how it was in the case of Kosovo and Serbia with John Bolton, etc. in the first Trump administration. So I think the path that the Ukraine is basically moving, and if this should be the case, I think then we would have a complete chaos in terms of territories being able to be exchanged or changed with brute force. And this is something that would contribute additionally to Dodik's.
So you make a comparison to the Ukrainian situation, to the Russian aggression.
Yeah, it would be a precedent when it comes to international law. So it would be applicable on all territories generally. I mean, the law of not the whole mess and negotiating that we had throughout the 90s with the Badinter Commission, with the various plans for Bosnia. I mean, back then we could have already have a consociation here. So basically, three territories under one very loose roof. Kind of working together when it comes to financing, etc., and having maybe 2 to 3 ministries. And this is the false thing that Dodik has been, talking about the core Dayton. But his vision of the core Dayton is I think not even something that it's comparable to what Karadzic and Mladic have been asking. You know, the war criminals. I mean, it's maybe even more than they were asking back then. That's the scary. That's basically the scary thing. So I think the international community is first of all Europe. The European Union has showed that it's once again that it doesn't have one voice. It will probably never be a super state, as it was talked about in the let's say 5 to 6 years ago. It won't be a super state. It will go probably more towards kind of nationalization and not supranationalization. So I mean, the question then is, or the only path forward is for Bosnia and for the progressive politicians to try to strengthen the institutions, and that's why this case is the most important one until now, because if we don't manage to strengthen the institutions, and we don't show minimum of sovereignty and of you know kind of you know having the power to pursue normal state authority in a democratic environment, then I think the outlook for a war basically, and I mean when you look at Vučić, who's been arming himself or Serbia for the last couple of years, 10 years. He's arming the military. He introduced again the how do you say the military vojni rok. How do you say
the conscription?
Yes, exactly. So the military
conscription. Yes.
Yeah, conscription. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The military conscription. And on the other hand, when you see Russia, and I mean the developments in Poland, they now have 500,000 soldiers. They're equipping themselves. The Baltic countries, you know, already, you know, Finland, Sweden, etc. So my fear is that this won't stop. So after Ukraine, if it's dealt the way it is, if let's say Zelensky can kind of manage it to negotiate back and forth until the midterm elections in the US. I don't think it's possible, but if he kind of manages to juggle, and then we see what happens in the midterm elections, then basically we can maybe expect some good things. But for now, I think that we can't exclude a conflict within the country, and but with just to say, we also can't exclude the involvement of Serbia.
That's another question. Actually, what is the role of Belgrade, and for that matter, what is the role of Moscow in the situation related to Bosnia and Herzegovina? What is Belgrade and what is Moscow doing or not doing for destabilization of Bosnia and Herzegovina and beyond, of course, in the whole region?
No.
How do you see their role?
Of course, and we shouldn't forget Hungary also. That's
there you go.
That's the country between Serbia and Russia. And I will also say a couple of words when it comes to their role. And just to say, I mean, at the beginning of the crisis, and just to wrap up this U.S. dimension, you know,
yes,
I mean, Marco Rubio did condemn via his social media channels. I mean, the administration itself did condemn the Milorad Dodik and what he's doing, but the focus of the administration is not the Western Balkans, because they have other issues, and of course Marco Rubio is one focal point of their foreign policy. It's not all. There are various other factors which are contributing and which comprehend with this transactional way of politics. That's why there's a lot of talks about lithium and energy potentials, and we don't have a law on state property.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something which this battle is also about territory. It's not. So it's about potentials and about who controls the rivers, the forests, some basic things.
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted. So the U.S. administration is still, I think, I think some are still counting on them to kind of chip in at some point and maybe hopefully help and not basically disturb the possibilities of doing something against Dodik.
Mm.
But this is something that I just wanted to say.
And about the role of Belgrade and Moscow.
Yes. Now, let's start with Moscow. The focal point of their foreign policy towards Bosnia, and I would say also towards Kosovo and towards the region, I would say was the ambassador in Belgrade, the Russian ambassador Alexander Bocha-Harachenko, who then kind of spread the message, basically, let's say, or gave instructions to the Serbian authorities how to deal or how to go forth with the Ruski Mir and Srpski Svet. So basically, this is I would say it's basically a part of a broader, bigger plan bringing Orthodox people, let's say, together, or kind of merging the territories where Orthodox people led by Russia, led by Putin, are supposed to quote unquote live and to work together and to have the upper hand, basically to kind of control the political ongoings in that region. So in Bosnia, to stick with Bosnia, the case was that the Kalabukhov, the ambassador here in Russia, he went like level for level, like stage for stage. First, he was like telling to the media and to the politicians, like, the EU is okay, it's not that great, but if you really want, you can join. And NATO is a no-go. So NATO, you aren't allowed to speak about Bosnia joining NATO. You aren't allowed. I mean, this was the threatening. Discourse which he.
And that's what the Russian ambassador is telling.
Yes, and he was the only one in the whole international community, basically, who threatened, like really threatened the people, the politicians not to pursue the NATO path anymore, and to give up basically, and on the other side the Europe. That was the first stage. Like, European Union is okay, you can continue, etc., etc. The second stage was NATO, once again, no go. The European Union, you shouldn't. So this wouldn't be their Franco-German, Anglo-Saxon politicians, lawyers who are coming to occupy your territory, etc. This was the discourse, and then the third step was basically no EU, no NATO. You should remain neutral. You should, the people within the countries should have their own agreement without third sides basically, involving themselves. Although they have constantly involved themselves in all of actions that were, kind of orchestrated by Dodik and his organized group, and by Vučić. This is the game that Vučić was playing according to the SANU 2 memorandum. Yeah, mm-hmm. According to the path that was set already. It's unbelievable that you go so deep into the history, basically, in these times where people need the economy to grow, where you need free markets, where you need just goods to be able to flow and to have basically a good economy. it's unbelievable that you know that there are still forces like the regime in Belgrade that are still on this path of destruction, basically. So Vučić has been always in his speeches. He was always telling like we respect the territorial integrity of Bosnia, but he never mentioned sovereignty. So he never mentioned this word, you know. And he always kind of juggled out of mentioning it. And this is exactly what the Russians have been also kind of moving like forward. Is this at least? I think it's not even a consociation. I think their end goal would be for the Republic of Srpska to basically secede, to be a part of Serbia, or to have some kind of status, very special status, maybe something similar like Transnistria in Moldova, or maybe even bigger. So with let's say stronger borders within the country. So I think this is the end goal, basically, from Russia and Serbia and of course Hungary also. So I think this back and forth, playing good cop, bad cop, is something similar that also, you know, has been partially done in Croatia. But in Croatia, it's far more, I would say, towards Bosnia. I mean, towards Bosnia, it's far more eloquent. It's far more diplomatically, let's say, I mean, Croatia is a part of the NATO, of the EU, of course. They have a say in the European Council between the states. So it's a different story. But it is an orchestrated kind of, orchestrated game. So a game of consultations, a game of, basically, adapting to each other and, doing moves relatively in a similar time period and time frame, and basically pressing the state apparatus. So they're just putting a huge pressure on the state. As I said, not to forget the role of Hungary. I mean, when the crisis began, Hungary sent over. I mean, there was also a huge report from our colleagues in Hungary, our fellow journalists. So there was a huge report on how basically Hungary sent special police forces to Bosnia to basically, after the first verdict in Dodik's case, so basically when he was sentenced.
Yes, it was quite a symbolic move, although it was justified with some cooperation projects and some.
It was, but actually, what has been talked about in the international circles, but also here behind closed doors, is that there was a plan actually to get Dodik out, if necessary, by the special police forces of Hungary, to get him out through Croatia, to the Croatian border. But at the end, as it seems, like I said, it's been circulating between politicians and the international community. At the end, Croatia declined to get Dodik out, or for Dodik to go through their territory somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So this was at the beginning, where there was. So
in the end, they just decided to defend him, to protect him with some paramilitary formation, and let him stay in the country and continue what he's doing, which is even more effective, ironically.
And that was. I mean, at the same point, we got. EUFOR got the 400 or something like that, circa, additional soldiers with special police forces from the Czech Republic and from also with forces, I think, from Romania. But I'm sure about the Czech Republic. So the special police forces were sent to Bosnia because there was apparently a plan by the Biden administration and by the back then American ambassador Murphy, who who now is not here anymore, basically to get rid of Dodik in a timely fashion, or let's say very slow. So like to basically go through the courts to get the sentence, and then at the end to try and bring him in, and basically to help removing him from the political scene.
Well, looks like Dodik is the winner for the time being.
Yeah, for the time being. Then Murphy, left. I mean, the Biden administration isn't here anymore. Although they also had their let's say wrong spots, or they also had their things that they didn't do well. But their intention, at least, was to kind of stabilize the country and to have it, for the country to go further on the NATO and EU path. And then what happened basically is that the laws that Dodik basically brought in the National Assembly of Republika Srpska were contested at directly at the Constitutional Court of Bosnia. And because the Bosniaks within the maybe this is too complicated, but I would like to just to kind of just to describe it very briefly. So basically,
complicated is a regular attribute of the Balkans, so don't worry.
Yeah. So basically, what Murphy's plan was is to basically contest Dodik once again. Firstly, through the Constitutional Court of Republika Srpska, and then when they decline, and some time would pass, then that it goes to the Constitutional Court of Bosnia.
Yes.
And this didn't happen because the Bosniaks didn't pull out the veto, or the national veto, basically in the assembly. So it went directly to the Constitutional Court. So it speeded up the process in which Dodik should have been kind of brought in or kind of punished for his doings, basically. So nobody expected that the things will go that fast, and the Bosniaks won't raise the veto in the Council of Peoples in the National Assembly of Republika Srpska. So basically, where are we now? We're still in a limbo. We don't know what's going to happen. If at the end, like I said, the worst option would be to sit with Dodik and to show how the rule of law is declining and how the institutions don't work, and basically that at the end this would show that the country is indeed what Vučić and the others are saying, a country without sovereignty, without the factual power to push, to kind of functional power to kind of protect the state or protect the territorial integrity. And then the huge question would be how we advance with this, and what the actual end game would be for Bosnia.